Hello my friends and welcome back. It's Wednesday, the middle of the week. Happy Wednesday to you. We'll begin today's video with something I haven't watched for a long time, which is the chart of the Russian losses, because it tells us a story, not if we look at it every day, but you gotta look at it over some periods of time to see the general patterns of battles going on the fronts. For example, 1,270 losses. These are not KIAs, I gotta say. 1/3 of these are KIAs. The rest of them are injured and missing. Some of the injured will of course go back to the fight. Again, it's this big number here, 927,000. 1/3 of these are KIAs. This is how you should look at this. What the story here is, Russians are using less and less tanks and more ATVs, Chinese golf cars, electronic scooters, all of that stuff. And we can even see it in the losses. They reflect it. 10 troop-carrying AFVs, 52 artillery systems, and 118 vehicles and fuel tanks. These are the electronic scooters and the AFVs and the Chinese golf cars I'm talking about. This is the main assault vehicle for the Russian army in Ukraine. This is the number here. The world was shocked yesterday when information came that 2 Chinese nationals have been captured in Ukraine. They were fighting on the Russian side, and we have a full video of one of them. They were fighting on Ukrainian soil. Now, this is a big different situation from the North Korean troops because they were never sent to the Ukrainian soil. They were in Kursk. But this Chinese national was captured on the Ukrainian soil, occupied Ukraine, of course. Let's watch a video. It looks a little bit funny, but I think he's describing how he was captured and the course of the battle, but he speaks no English, no Russian, no Ukrainian. So he's trying to do it as good as he can, and I gotta give props to him, because look at him. Look at him go.
Commander.
Commander, boom. Dude can express himself, yeah. But honestly, this is what you do if you're captured. You speak no language. This is exactly what you do. You try to communicate how you got captured, what you were doing there. Commander. Anyway, here's his passport. He is a Chinese citizen. Why is this a big thing? Everybody knows that these are mercenaries. They're not Chinese. The PLA army members, no way, they're mercenaries. But these are the first Chinese citizenship mercenaries ever captured on Ukrainian soil. That's a big thing. And it ties into Trump fighting China and the old trade war situation with the world. 2 Chinese nationals captured. Maybe it will pique Trump's interests in Ukraine to fight against Russia, because it's not only Russia, it is China and North Korea. By the way, these videos have been more and more common. A little bit before that, this video surfaced where we can see these Chinese troops wearing a Russian uniform in Ukraine. They're in some kind of an occupied building. It's occupied Ukraine, and they are writing Chinese on the wall and speaking Chinese. So these two were not the only ones who were captured. I mean, they're only ones who were captured, but not the only ones who were fighting on the Russian side. Now, yeah, it is about money. These are mercs, but it paints a bigger picture that this money is so lucrative, even to people outside of Russia, that people want to join their side. We'll talk about money a little bit in the future, later in the video, because the oil prices have dropped significantly, which really affects the Russian ability to pay that money. But before that, let's talk about ground news. My friends, Trump has unleashed an unprecedented trade war, and whoever owns these news houses pushes their own agenda with the wording, for example. This is why I bring to you Ground News, the #1 news comparison site in the world, and it's a great tool I use. Here we have EU to prepare countermeasures to the US, and we can see the coverage details immediately on the right. Here you can see the biased distribution right below it, visualizing it where these news houses and news pages are with their political standing. We have the factuality right here, which I would call the most important of all. Of course, we have the ownership tab, which shows you very nicely and visually who owns it and what might be their agenda. Now here we can see all of the articles, and very interesting is to see where their wording differs. Title by title, news site to news site. You can just see it right here compared to each other. For example, we have the NOS media conglomerate. It immediately tells you that. It's a media conglomerate. We have the local AT, high factuality. These things are very important if you choose what to fill your mind with. Gotta be high factuality, gotta be center. All of these tools are very easily accessible for you, and for a limited time, you can get the same plan I use for nearly half of the price. Just go to ground.news/Artur or scan the QR code on the screen to get their unlimited access Vantage plan for just $5 a month. Or gift it to someone you know and have more informed conversations. Call out one-sided narratives and have more in-depth conversations about the stories shaping our world. I only promote brands I vet, and I think you will find Ground News as valuable as I do. Thank you, Ground News, for sponsoring today's video. Now, my friends, I don't usually report on certain Russian individuals getting KIA'd in this war, but I gotta mention this one because it connects to Estonia, my country. I mean, from where I am right now, the Russian border is about 250 kilometers, which is what, 3 hours, a little bit more with a car. I mean, this whole country across with a car is about 5-6 hours if you count the islands also. We are that small. So on the other side of the border, the Russian side, it's a settlement called Pskov, Pihkva in Estonian. And there's this notorious unit there that is there only for Estonia. I mean, it's a border unit on the Russian side. They are there to come to Estonia. Now, it's 234th Pskov Air Assault Regiment. This is a semi-elite forces on the Russian army. Any kind of air assault units are semi-special forces, elite forces. They get the better gear, they get better pay, they get better equipment and deals, I mean, in the Russian army. And now, Ukrainian warriors have eliminated Pskov paratrooper who took part in the war crimes in Butcha in March 2022. This guy was right on the Estonian border, stationed here, trained to jump to Estonia. I say jump because they're paratroopers, but Russia doesn't really use them in that role anymore. The point is, his goal, his unit's goal is us. And he was deployed to Ukraine. He did some very bad shooting there. We all know what happened in Butcha. He was one of them, confirmed one of them who pulled the trigger. Now he's gone. We're talking about a 24-year-old Russian, Ruslan Omaralinov, who served in the 234th Pskov Air Assault Regiment. According to pro-Russian Z channels, he was reportedly neutralized somewhere in the Kursk region. Here's a photo of this guy, and here is another photo of this guy. Why I'm showing this is because this unit is connected to Estonia very much, because they are the most elite unit that is closest to Estonian border. And now they're almost all minced up in Ukraine. One by one, we get these confirmations. I'm glad. Now, another thing I haven't done on this channel, but I have to. In the name of the truth, I think the viewers who watch me, you might not have access to information of some Ukrainian losses, because it sometimes is an echo chamber. If you're pro-Ukraine, you might not see some of the Western equipment that gets destroyed in Ukraine. For example, yesterday a video surfaced that I cannot ignore. It's important enough, so I will share it to you. A Cesar 8x8 was targeted by a Russian kamikaze drone. Now, Cesar howitzer, one of the better howitzers in the modern world, very good one. Ukraine has several of them, but they have confirmed lost only one Cesar up to date, and now Russians took out another one. And this video does not confirm it. It confirms the FPV locks onto the Cesar, but it doesn't confirm it destroyed. Boom, the image goes black. What the Ukrainians usually do, they show the burning vehicle or equipment after the video, but this case we don't get that. So maybe they missed, but now you know that there have been 2 semi-confirmed Cesar howitzers destroyed in Ukraine. I think you need to know that. In the light of Donald Trump, trade war with China, there's a lot of stuff happening with the Houthis and United States deploying their B-2s to the Garcia Islands. I mean, the information that some of the US citizens and Europeans are getting that Ukraine is now on their own and they cannot handle. Let's really look at the numbers. The facts, the numbers, the statistics don't lie. And I will just summarize it to you. I read the article, How Europe Hopes to Turn Ukraine into a Steel Porcupine. And I'll read you the summary of it. And this, I think, pushes back a little bit against that Russian narrative that Ukraine cannot fight alone. It's harder, but they can. The Economists. Europe is quietly turning Ukraine into a $15 billion steel war machine. I mean, 2025, it's projected that Ukraine will produce 5 million FPV drones in 1 year, 2025, and 3,000 cruise missiles. EU plans to double military aid to $40 billion in 2025, focusing on arms procurement and scaling Ukraine's defense industry. Ukraine's defense output reached 10 billion in 2024. It was 3 billion in 2023, and it's projected to be 35 billion in 2025. Each year, in the last 3 years, it has been almost 250 to 300% increase, 2 to 3x increase in military output. This is massive. Domestic production now meets up to 50% of military needs despite repeated Russian strikes on factories. Of course, Ukraine is doing the dispersed industry. These factories are not somewhere on the field. They are hidden in the cellars, in the basements, in abandoned parts of town. I've seen plenty of these factories in Kyiv. I visited some of them, and I got some comments of Artur. Now you're talking about these abandoned parts of town in Kyiv. You're sharing information, my friends. That is the only point. If I say it's an abandoned part of Kyiv, there's quite many of them. If Russians are now going to strike all of these abandoned parts, it's good because they're going to waste a lot of their missiles for no effect. Electronic warfare systems like the Lima jammer now outperform Russian and Western tech, neutralizing Russian glide bombs. This is incredibly important because for the last 3 years, Ukraine and the West have not had the capability in Ukraine to jam Russian glide bombs. Russia drops about 100 to 150 of them a day. Majority of them were in Kursk. They do a lot of damage. They're big, they make a big boom. Even if they miss a little bit, they do a lot of damage. Now, 2025, beginning and ending of 2024, we saw the first instances of Ukraine being able to jam Russian glide bombs. They still fall, but they're less precise, missing their targets not by 10, 15, 20, but hundreds of meters, which saves Ukrainian lives. For the first time, it has happened. This is fantastic. And finally, I'll end with Bogdana howitzers. Output rose from 6 in 2022 to 20 per month in 2025, outpacing French Cesar production. I mean, I just mentioned that Cesar getting destroyed by the Russians. It could double with the EU funding. Bogdana is a great self-propelled howitzer, and it's a lot cheaper than the Western counterparts. And that's my prediction that in the next 10 years, European Union countries will place big-time orders on that Bogdana howitzer. My friends, I don't have any new members on Buy Me a Coffee, but I can still send you the patch if you want to. Just become a monthly member and Buy Me a Coffee. Link is in the description. I'll be sending that out to you as fast as you can write to me and Buy Me a Coffee. It's yours. And I'll be butchering your name also. No names today, but I'm sure we get some names for Friday in 2 days. Thank you for supporting the channel, my friends. Now we go a little bit back in time. It's 1.5 weeks, but this attack was big. On 31st of March 2025, Ukrainians attacked Russian Shaikovka airfield. A number of missiles were stationed there, supposedly also a Tu-22 strategic bomber. And we have now satellite imagery confirming the destruction of hangars and buildings. But I don't just want to show you these footages. Let's jump to Google Maps because I want to show you exactly where this is. Look, let's ignore my pins right here. Let's zoom into it. It's quite far away from Ukraine, and they still pinpointed this airfield. Shaikovka airfields. It's home to Tu-22 bombers. And even if you zoom in, Bamyatik Samaletu Tu-22M2. I mean, you can even see it on the map. So you know what to bombard. You can just search it from Google. Anyway, I geolocated the exact locations that were hit. One of these was this big and new looking hangar. There's a massive hole here now. Look at it, boom, right in the middle of it, smack in the middle. You can be sure the missile went through the roof and exploded inside. So whatever was inside, and by the way, keep in mind, Russians don't keep their stuff inside our hangars. They keep it outside rotting. If it's inside of a hangar, it's expensive. So this hangar got a boom right here. We go a few meters to the north and west, and we got these two parking lots here, which were filled with, I am guessing, boxes of missiles. They stockpile these missiles that go straight to the planes and up in the air. These both parking lots here got a little bit of bavovna, a little bit of careless smoking, spontaneous combustion. You know what I'm talking about. Let's go to another location, zoom out a little bit, go to the southern end of the airfield, and it is this location and this building right here and this building right here. Those two got direct hits, and I'm gonna say 2 Russian soldiers or 1 soldier on 2 of these locations was smoking very carelessly. We got confirmed hits, 3 buildings even. Okay, on this parking lot here, it was not a building, there was a plane on this one, and it got, there's a plane painted, as you can see, but there's some other stuff also. Russians are painting their parking lots to look like planes, thinking that Ukrainians will attack, but I'm guessing Ukrainians attacked this cache, I don't know how you say this word, cache of missiles here. So this is a wonderful confirmed destruction in Shaikovka airfield 1.5 weeks ago. So glad to report it. As I mentioned, my friends, the Chinese nationals fighting on the Russian side, they were probably mercs. They were attracted by the money that Russian Ministry of Defense is promising them. And I'll go back to the money topic because oil prices dropped big time. Now, this is an instance I gotta give to Trump. I don't think he knows what he's doing. He's just pushing and beating around everywhere, causing pain all over the place. But the pain is also in the oil market. The oil prices have dropped. I'm not sure if he did that on purpose or not, but they have reacted to Trump's tariffs as much as all other prices in the world right now. But this is catastrophe for Russia. See, Russia is nothing more than a massive gas station. Their entire money and way of life and everything Putin dreams to do, all of that is tied to how much money they can bring in with gas and oil. Nobody buying Russian agriculture or weapons anymore. It's all gas and oil. And oil prices dropped in the last week. They dropped $10 per barrel. They were close to 60. Now they're below $50 per barrel. Now, Russian 2025 budget was made with $70 per barrel. That's the point. And it's now below 50, meaning they are close to 20% below budget, which is really bad because everything that Russia does below budget is taken from the National Welfare Fund, out of which we know 2/3 have been used up, confirmed. It was about 130 billion at the start of the full-scale invasion. There's about 30 to 40 billion left. 2/3 are gone, and this year is going to be very painful. They got to take a lot of money out of the welfare fund. That is the fund that funds the entire invasion, the entire Putin's pipe dream. It's not oil and gas because the prices are low. It's the welfare fund. It's Russian citizens' money, I'll be honest with you. Putin is taking and stealing that, funneling it towards military. If that runs out, mark my words, the invasion will fail. It will end. They cannot keep the military going without these massive payments to the soldiers. And it's all about the welfare fund, which now will be used to balance the Russian budget deficit, which is massive. Since the $70 per barrel price is just a dream now, it's below 50. That's Trump's doing. I don't know if Trump knows, but it's actually hurting Putin. I know Trump doesn't really want to hurt Putin, but he's doing it. I think a lot of effects on Trump's action happened without him actually intending these, which makes him very similar to Putin, because Putin, again, is the biggest salesman of NATO. He wanted to stop NATO from expanding. Hey, we got Finland and Sweden who joined. These two guys make these things, their plans, and God is laughing because the opposite happens. Anyway, the point is, Russia is hurting because of oil prices dropping, and I think Trump did not do that on purpose. Now, my friends, we jump back to Estonia. I mentioned a little bit about the Pskov unit right on our border. Now I'll go to Estonia for quite another reason. Our parliament, Riigikogu, is right now discussing to give the Estonian Defense Forces the ability, the legal right to sink ships who damage the underwater cables. See, Estonia is connected with four underwater cables to all the rest of the northern Europe, Finland, Sweden, Denmark, everything. Not Denmark, sorry. 2 of them have been damaged already, so 50% of these cables have been damaged. There's 2 left. We get our electricity from 4 cables underwater, 50% taken out. So now the gloves are off. The parliament is discussing to give this ability to push that button to the Estonian Defense Forces. You know what? We have the blue spear. It's not the spear that is blue. It's actually an anti-ship missile which has a massive range for the Baltic Sea at least. Check it out. This is Estonia. This is 290 kilometers. We have Blue Spear 5G SSM. We bought them. They arrived 1 year ago. The entire Russian Baltic fleet is at the striking range that they cannot get out unless they leave the Baltic Sea. And these missiles are good, they're modern, they're precise, they're expensive, they will do the job. The point is, we have the capability to sink these Russian merchant vessels, because they're always merchant vessels, but we need the legal justification and the legal framework. This is what our parliament is discussing right now, to give this massive legal weapon to sink those ships, because we cannot stand another cable broken. We have 4, 2 of them damaged, it takes tens of millions to repair them. We got to start sinking these ships to send a message. Talking about waterways and landings and ships, I got another. I'm trying to pivot very smoothly here, but this is a Russians trying to rehearse crossing the Dnipro. You know, they want to cross the Dnipro, but they haven't been able to do so. So haven't the Ukrainians, of course. It's a difficult water body to cross under fire, but here we can see how the rehearsals are going. Full throttle to the beach. Covering fire, get out of the boat, go, go, go. Oh my God, face to the mud. It rhymed. Oh my God, face to the mud. Yeah, that's not going good. Not going good at all. I suggest they don't try it. Or if, actually, I suggest they do. Would be more losses for them. Now, my friends, I will take you to the border of Dnipropetrovsk Oblast of Ukraine and Donetsk Oblast of occupied Ukraine. And the guy is walking here claiming that this kind of 3-road dragon's teeth and bellatrina, or however you call it in English, it's not a barbed wire, it's the wire with the razor blade. It's cutting wire, I think. It's a lot worse than barbed wire. This goes for kilometers. There's no anti-tank ditch here, which I'm sad to see, and no mines, obviously. I hope to see them. But the thing is, this kind of obstacle, it's the cheapest and most effective way to keep out the Russian ground forces. Since, of course, it's not only you deploy it and it's fine, you gotta deploy surveillance posts all over the place so you know what's coming. But the point is, we are doing the exact same thing in the Baltics, in Poland. We are the exact same thing. We're gonna mine the borders in the next 2 years. The borders of Baltics and Russia will be mined to oblivion. They will be filled with dragon's teeth like this one, and bellatrina, the cutting wire. And we also are putting bunkers and anti-tank ditches. Now, the only way they can get across then is with engineering vehicles or trying to push these ditches aside. But we're also putting massive surveillance on the border, so that will take time. And we have the firing sectors and artillery ready. We got drones ready and we got missiles ready. So it's not that simple for them to actually come through this. You can see a little deer running here. Look at it. He can get through, I think. This is an effective way. We thought Second World War style is over, that you don't use tanks en masse anymore. Hey, they're using golf cars from China. They cannot get through this unless they take some time to remove these obstacles, and that gives the defending side time to remove them from existence. I just want to show it to you that Ukraine is investing tens of millions of dollars of doing that all across their borders with Russia, and the Baltics are doing the exact same thing right now. If I say cheap, it still costs tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, but it's a lot cheaper than other options. My friends, now I want to show you a video, the real size of Ukraine military aid from USA and from the EU, in-depth analysis. This is one of these members-only videos that you will get 4 per month if you're a channel member. Join up for a membership, the link is in the description below. It's only 99 cents and you will get 4 extra videos that are researched by professionals and produced to oblivion. A lot of resources and time goes into these videos, so go and enjoy them with your morning coffee. Thank you, my friends. Until my next video, which will be on Friday, Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye. Thank you, Crown News, for sponsoring today's video.